Hi, I'm Vina Sohara. I make content about holistic self-love. And in this video, I wanted to share with you three things that I do every night. No, actually one thing, something I do every night before I go to bed. And I think I've shared with you, or I've alluded to this before on previous videos, but I wanted to make a whole video about it because it really has been life-changing for me. Well, many things can be life-changing, but before I go to bed every night, I write down 3 wins of the day. I started doing this last year. I bought this very cheap agenda, they call it in Spanish, diary, in a discount store. And I started writing down 3 wins before going to bed. And I did this because when I started last year, 2025, I remember I was just feeling not very happy with my life. I was going through some personal struggles, and I was really on a mission to get myself out of a darker place and get back into positive thinking. And I thought this is a great thing to do. And I've done kind of lists many times over the years. I think I have some over here. I've done gratitude. I've done what else have I done? 3 acts of self-love, things like that. In 2019, for example, I had a diary and I wrote 3 acts of self-love of the day and 3 gratitude things I was grateful for. And that was a great thing to do just before 2020 because we all know what happened then. So it kind of got me into this mindset of being grateful for the smaller things, because there's always something to be grateful for. But in this sense, I wanted to really focus on wins. And wins are achievements of the day, and they can be, could be big things like landing a new client, or it could be something like going to the gym, or even resisting the temptation to eat junk food, something like that. And I started to do it every single night before bed, and it just really kind of got me thinking positively again. And sometimes I was in bed and I would get up and then actually I was in bed and I'm thinking, I haven't done the wins of the day. And I would get up and actually write them. And some days there were more than 3, and sometimes I actually wrote more than 3. But this year I'm taking a very different approach. And the reason why it's so powerful is that at the end of the day, sometimes we are very harsh on ourselves and we're thinking, oh, I didn't do that. And then we go to bed with that feeling of we haven't done enough. And also before you go to bed, you're in this state of, let's say, you could be susceptible to subconscious reprogramming or programming. So it's really good to kind of get this positive thinking into yourself, your subconscious, before sleeping. And then it kind of gets, how would I say, you embody it a lot more, this positivity. And I was reading last year, I was recommended this book, The Gap and the Gain. And it has a whole chapter about measure 3 wins daily. So something I was doing quite intuitively actually has some science behind it. And it's really fantastic to actually have this confirmation that I was doing something really good, because it has been a very good thing for me. I'm going to read to you what it says here. Measure 3 wins daily. Maximize the highest leverage hour of your day. And what does that mean, the highest leverage hour? There is one specific hour, the sweet spot of your day, that has the biggest impact on both your short-term and long-term success. What you do during this 1 hour has effects that far outweigh what you do with the other hours of your day. It determines how productive and purposeful you are, as well as influences how well your brain functions. So this is like 1 hour. It's the last hour of the day. So in that last hour of the day, that's not something to be like on your screens or doing something or eating junk food. It's really a moment for reflection and positivity and wind down. So something like meditation is a good thing to do at that time, reflecting on your day, and maybe some breathing as well, maybe some cuddling with your partner if you have one. And also something I would not recommend doing at night. Well, you do what you want, but things like watching violent films, things like that with lots of noise and gruesome stuff on the screen or gory stuff, that's not really the best thing for your mind when you're in that sponge-like susceptible state just before bed. That's something that can be quite addictive. I know I have Netflix and HBO, and sometimes you can get really into a certain series and then you want to watch one more, and then you go to bed and you've got all this stuff happening in your mind. I'm very mindful about the things that I choose to watch for that reason. I don't want to see things like violence or something that's kind of negative, kind of bring all that negativity into my subconscious. I want to keep it positive, but not love and light and denying reality either. So I think we have to be mindful about anything that we're consuming, not just food, but also digital content. So this year I'm actually doing the same thing with a new agenda. I got a bigger one this time, not just because I want bigger gains, but I want to be able to actually read my writing this time. So sometimes I might have a structure that's kind of, let's say, a win for the body, a win for the mind or the emotions, and then a win for the business. That's kind of what I've been doing so far. But let me explain to you what the gap and the gain actually is. This is a kind of, let's say, mindset framework to help you get into a more positive way of thinking, and it's called the High Achiever's Guide to Happiness, Confidence and Success. And this is written by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And basically the gap and the gain is when, let's say, the gap is when you are judging yourself on where you're at and where you want to be. So that's a gap basically. So you're here today, but you're thinking, I want to be there. So you're constantly feeling like you're not enough. However, the gain is, I'm here today, but I've come from this. I've done all of these things in the past. And that's more of a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction and positivity. So that's what the philosophy behind the 3 wins of the day is, really focusing on what you did achieve that day and not thinking, oh, I didn't do that. There's nothing wrong with kind of like thinking, oh, what I can do tomorrow, but always acknowledging what you did today. So that's something I do every single night. It's been a really big part of my life last year, and I'm going to be continuing this year. So as it's still January, I wanted to share this with you to inspire you if you are thinking about doing the same thing, because now that it's the beginning of the year, you will find well, you can start at any time really, but seeing as you can find some cheap diaries around now, it's a good thing to do for 2026. Anyway, what about you? Do you have any nighttime routines before going to bed? Anything you do that helps your positivity, or even any other time of the day? Let us know in the comments below. And that's my video for today. Thank you for being here. And if you have any content requests, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'll be reading and responding to every single comment. And it's a real pleasure to be here and inspire you. And also check out my book. I've got links in the description below. I've got links to my podcast, which I'll be starting up again soon. I've had a bit of a rest, much needed rest. And what else have I got? Podcast, meditations, book, Substack, all of those good things. Anyway, thanks for being here. See you soon. Mwah. Have a great weekend.